Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to The Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of one band. This band started in 1991 in Charlottesville, Virginia, and this year we are celebrating 35 years of this band. We are going to talk about the fans of Dave Matthews Band, and that is what I do on every episode of this show. Each episode is a different story talking about how they found the music and why they are still listening to it. And there are almost 200 fans that have come forward to share their journey about being a fan of Dave Matthews Band. So this episode is the same. Let's let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and where do you live, and tell us something cool about you.
Hey guys, it's me, Noah Mosca. I'm 26, about to be 27 years old. I live in Orlando, Florida. And I really love to cook. I love to spend time outside. I love to travel. And I kind of get to do all those things while playing the saxophone and learning about Dave.
How did you stumble across the music of Dave Matthews Band?
So I have only heard of the name Dave Matthews Band. I knew none of the songs. I knew none of the lore of the band. I just knew that there was some guy named Dave Matthews and he had a band. But down the line, back in 2023, I just graduated from college. I went to school for music and I was just looking to get out and gig and get some, travel experience, some world experience, playing my instrument out on the road and stuff. And the DMTB at the time was coming down to my hometown, just north of Orlando, Florida, in a town called Sanford. And they had posted just an ad on Facebook looking for a sax player for one of the gigs, and that particular gig in Sanford. And so I was like, well, Dave Matthews, I've heard that name before. Like I've got the saxophones that we need to do the thing. And I want to play music. I'm just looking to play music. So that's when I discovered Dave Matthews Band and actually delved into the music and, did my research. So I was learning the music of Dave to perform it while also just learning it as a fan or a listener.
Right. Well, let's go back a little further in time. So how long have you been playing the saxophone? Or when is the saxophone the first instrument you started with?
Technically, the first instrument that I learned how to play was the guitar. And my uncle was actually great friends with Dickie Betts, lived in Sarasota, Florida. He was still alive. And through that connection, he played with all the, the people that were playing together in the Allman Brothers Band at the time. There was some guy that kind of just is a mystery in my mind now. I never got to reach back out to him after this, but I just knew him by Frankie was his name. And he came by and just sat down with me, gave me a guitar and just taught me some chords. That was kind of my intro into learning instruments or learning music. It wasn't until seventh grade that I picked up the saxophone and actually started playing. So I was about 12 years old.
So that's kind of the age that you kind of start getting into band, 6th, 7th grade. That's usually when schools start introducing band and saying, hey, do you want to do this? So was that something that you just were like, yes? And then how did you pick the saxophone? A lot of people, they are given an open room and get to play with all the different instruments. What led you to the saxophone?
My dad showed me a couple of old jazz records, Blue Train by John Coltrane specifically. And I was just like, whoa, this is so cool. I just fell in love with jazz and Coltrane. And I wanted to be able to create sounds like that. And mainly that way,
was it.
I'd say. And
I love that way.
Yeah.
I'm a big Coltrane fan. So who doesn't want to sound like that? I think he has such a unique sound. I don't think anyone else sounds like him, just the way he played the saxophone. I love that you're a Coltrane fan. So you got the saxophone, and did that lead you, like, did you go through high school playing the sax? Did you do the whole marching band thing?
Yep, did the whole middle school, high school band trek, and I really fell in love with marching band and like the sense of community that it brought me, and like it's just it was a great outlet for me in high school, especially. You got to go to all the football games, and you got to just like be goofy in the stands and stuff. And then when you put on the show, it like really felt like you were able to accomplish this sense of rehearsal and practice and put on
Hmm.
something, really special that involved like a large amount of people.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, marching band was really great.
And then you graduate high school. Did you know before you graduated that that was something that you wanted to continue studying on into college? Or were you the average freshman that was like, I'm not sure yet. Let's just get through our basics and then pick a major?
I knew music is where I wanted to go. I actually went to like my middle school and high school was geared to more of like an engineering like focus. And
Hmm.
so I originally was in that. I had an interest in like designing and like engineering and stuff. And then my love for music kind of took over that. One, because engineering, it's hard as shit. Like it's very difficult.
Yes.
And music, I think music came more naturally to me. And so I really just kind of put all my energy and my passion into that. And kind of just learning more about the saxophone itself. Like I got into it because of jazz and Coltrane and stuff, but then spending time with the instrument, I just fell in love with like how like gorgeous of an instrument it can be. Like there's a whole side of saxophone that people don't really know or don't talk about, and the conception of it is really meant for like, well, it was meant to be a marching band instrument, but it eventually turned into just like a beautiful classical instrument, and
Hmm.
really fell in love with like the warm, like pretty sounds that it could make. And I wanted to go to school to just learn more about it and get better at it and find ways to perform the saxophone. Yeah.
Right. So, what was the first thing that you did after college with this degree in music? What was your initial thought when approaching graduation? Like, I really want to do this.
Ideally, it's funny, ideally, like I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. And that didn't
Okay.
take, that wasn't instantaneous. I just knew I wanted to travel and see the country, see the world and perform and or at least play the saxophone in doing so. I didn't know what outlet that was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be like a small, jazz combo. I didn't know if it was going to be like a large rock group or like an Earth, Wind and Fire tribute. I definitely didn't expect it to be Dave Matthews Band, but like I said, I'm open to like all sorts of music styles and genres and artists. And
It's a great band to be in because, DMB is known for a lot of their sounds. I think it's the mix of sounds that everyone really enjoys when it comes to DMB's music. And the saxophone, it always sticks out. It pick a song and the sax always sounds amazing. So what an instrument to bring to the table for them. So you played with DMTB once, and this was just, hey, there happened to be near your home. You're going to sit in with them. What happened after that?
I spoke to the original band leader at the time, Ryan, and he said, like, if you're interested in playing more gigs with us, we may have some work for you. And a few months went by actually. And I just did my normal gigs at home and I was working at a couple restaurants at the time, just doing my thing, trying to save up some money, earn some money and stuff. And then he hit me up around August of 2023 to play some shows up in like Indiana, Illinois area. And that was the first time I flew for this type of gig. I did some stuff in college where we flew around and stuff, but this was me getting asked to perform. You got to fly out from Florida to come out here. So that was a pretty cool experience.
Absolutely. So let's talk about
Thanks.
DMTB. I know, your job is to obviously play the saxophone, but there might be things that you help out with as in other ways. What are some of those duties that you kind of help with?
One being the travel coordinator, as the guy who I would say like travels the most in order to be a part of this band. I've been given the duty to coordinate the travel, and it's mainly for myself. And if we have subs come out, like I'll get their information and get them to where they need to be. Gary, he flies out quite a bit as well. We're always moving around different cities. There's our magnificent steed that has to be accounted for, driving through all these different parts of the country, and when that or how that's able to logistically get to where it needs to be without throwing a wrench in travel plans, because I mean, that thing is a beast, and one little hiccup can take off 40 minutes to an hour of our a routing time, and then that's precious time when it comes to load in, sound checking, all that stuff. So trying to
Yeah.
get everyone to where they need to be is it's really important, and it makes the most sense for me to do it as well, just as the one that's traveling the most usually.
Right. Well, let's talk about the music. The two guys that have been part of Dave Matthews Band that have played the saxophone. Is there anything that you've learned by their style or by their presentation when reviewing all of the history that there is with DMB?
Yeah, for sure. As someone who never heard of this band and never knew any of the players in this band, I really gravitated towards Leroy Moore's sound and just
Mhm.
him as a player and like an entity on stage. It always felt like he knew exactly what to play and when, and everything was very selfless and just authentic. And it was a very refreshing way of hearing the instrument. A lot of time people just want to play and they just want to showcase, and that's totally valid. Like, you put a lot of time and energy into practicing this instrument, and there's really cool things you can do with it, but there's something to be said about the restraint that he had, and like, I don't know, very choice notes and phrases that he gave. It definitely made me kind of like rethink my approach to the saxophone and just performing in general. So I'm very envious of like the fans who got to see the band at that time, and like when they were just like an original group, like yourself. I can only
Well,
imagine
no,
some of the
I never saw him. I never saw him.
really.
Never
Oh,
did. My
honestly, I thought
first
you
show
did. I
was in
thought you
2015.
saw. Yeah.
No, 2015 was
Wow.
my
Okay.
very first show. Yeah. Yeah. Not that I didn't love
Yeah. There's
them
like this
for
weird
always.
era.
I just didn't
Mhm.
have the opportunity to travel to see them because I was doing other things, but being a mom, being a wife, all these things. And so life
Yeah.
gets in the way of travel. But I am
Mhm.
also very envious of the people that got the original sound of this band that's been making music for 35 years. We talk about that often, especially when talking about DMTB, because that is your mission. Y'all's mission as a group is to bring to the fans the tribute to the original sound, which is so very different than what we hear now, not only because there are some different players than the originals. So the music naturally would have changed
Mhm.
just because with different hands come different sounds. I am very envious of those people that got all of the original stuff, Boyd, Butch Taylor, and even Peter before that. And so
Yeah.
there's so much great music that is recorded. Of course, you can go to YouTube and watch all of this stuff. There are videos from the early 90s that people, recorded in the crowd and sent off, and it's made it to YouTube now. And that is one of the most fascinating things I get to tell people about DMTB is for people like me and everyone else that just never got that opportunity, either because of age or the inability to travel or whatever, we never got to stand in a room and just hear that happen. And that's something I
Mhm.
hear a lot when it comes to DMTV is that if you close your eyes and you're in the room, it transports you to the early 90s, early 2000s. And I feel like that's such a compliment for you guys, especially when people say that were also there in the early 90s, early 2000s, and are just blown away by how they feel like they've time traveled at one of y'all's shows. So what a compliment that is. And you guys are killing it on the sound part of it. So, first, thank you so much for doing that for us, because I know as one of the fans of this band, that is very important is the history. We don't want to just talk about the right now or 10 years ago or just 91. We want to talk about all of the decades. And that's what I say. I always divide it up into 4 decades. You've got the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s. And each decade sounded very different. Now, I know that y'all try to focus somewhere between, 91 and 2008, and it just depends on who's on stage with you guys is how far you can go. So what is the best
Mhm.
way for you, have you found, to really dig in and find it? Is it just playing the music, listening to it? Like, what helped you really kind of form your sound?
I mean, it's a combination of performing and then just really being like an active listener more than just like, listening into your part and your side of the stage necessarily, like what's going on around the stage, how are the people interacting with each other. I think going back to like the compliment that you were mentioning, like where people are transported back, like it's weird kind of like going or hearing that when I'm trying to replicate someone I've never actually seen or heard, and I'm just doing my best, but everyone else on stage is just like such a tremendous talent. Like Gary, Tim, David, they're all like, and all the violin players that we get to work with, because we don't have like necessarily one stable guy. Like we bring a lot of people in with that position, but all of those people, they offer such unique talents, and they're very like they're just so incredibly skillful, and working with people that are that way, it makes my job a little bit easier, and it makes me look better, even though it's all the work that they've done too. As far as like representing a certain sound, I think also it just comes with listening as a band. I think that's really helped us as well. Like we spend a lot of time on the road. We listen to so much music, and a lot of it at times is Dave, and so other times we're like, no, we can't do this right now. No, Dave. But
It can't be
I know.
24/7, can it? No.
No, we love like genuinely, we do love putting on live tracks and driving around the country and seeing the world with Dave playing on in the background. It's really cool, especially doing what we do. But all of that is like a culmination of like a vibe, or like, an
Mhm.
ambiance that like just is, perpetuated by the four or five of us that are together listening in and picking out what we like, and just commenting on like what aspects of the band are, really special, and what stand out.
So if I were to get in your car right now and your radio was blasting, what would I hear? What things are you listening to currently besides Dave Matthews Band?
Okay. As of recently, I've been getting kind of just like back into classical. Like, I've just been going back through my classical albums, Tchaikovsky. I also been you'll hear things like Nowhere, like this band like Lewis Cole and stuff that he's behind, or like Death Grips, or like I love like R&B too, like just old school
Mhm.
R&B, like
Oh, yeah.
Mint Condition and like Janet Jackson, like all that stuff, like Sade, like I love that stuff. A lot of dream
There's so
pop
much good
too.
music.
That's something I think.
So much.
Yeah, like I there's so much. Like I genuinely have a very open ear to things. So
I agree. Like, obviously, I'm a fan, a big fan of Dave Matthews Band and the music that they have put out into the world. But there is also so many other people that are putting out some amazing music. And so, do I think
mhm,
that Dave Matthews listens to Dave Matthews? Hell no, right? So he's listened to other shit too. And just I think it's good
maybe.
to remember, especially for our diehard Dave Matthews Band fans that do listen to it 24/7. And I know that you're out there, and that is so cool. Like, I love that. But my children absolutely cannot stand the sound of Dave Matthews Band. So I find myself listening to, newer things, more current things. But then again, I've got all of my albums that, I'm trying to collect every Coltrane, and it is very hard to find them unless you want to overpay for them, which is something I don't want to do. So I enjoy spending a lot of time in record shops and
For
just
sure.
seeing what I can find. And I've been really lucky to find a lot of those. So yeah, there's just so many options when it comes to music. But Dave Matthews Band in general is I think anyone could find a part of the music that they like, whether you are straight country, whether you are straight jazz, whether you are straight blues, whether you're straight rock, like whatever you want. If you want to go to church, listen to Dave Matthews Band because Buddy is up there like killing it. And I mean, it feels like you're in church sometimes. So I don't think they get enough credit in their
Oh
music to
yeah.
where they are. I always say that they're like the most famous band that no one knows. Now that Dave Matthews Band fans have found DMTB, you guys are in there with some of the most passionate people that really know every single note that is expected to be played, is going to be played, all of the things that puts you in an interesting spot almost just to kind of learn so much about the fan base, but also learn it from the stage, right? Like you've had to learn a lot of these things from the stage to see the people out there just like soaking it all up. Has that been something new for you? Is just the fan interaction, the fans' reactions in the crowd? And I like to think that you would get to see some interesting things from where you stand.
Yeah, it's very surreal and also very humbling to know that like I'm a part of such a supportive group of people. I feel like in general, the supporters of us, DMTB, have all been very kind souls, and just meeting the fans of DMB, it's offered a unique perspective. And like the way that I learned about the music and kind of seeing where other fans have come from that have grown up with this music, went to all of his tours, all of Dave's tours and stuff. So yeah, super, super interesting. I've met like all of our supporters. I've met some great people, very, very nice people, especially when when we come down to Florida and we have our people. You know who you are. We're all like friends and we're all just hanging out and like we're
Yeah.
playing, y'all are listening, and then we can just get together afterwards and hang. So
How cool is it to know that your home state is one of the states in the United States that like really has embraced the concept of DMTV and loves each one of you that are on stage. I mean, Florida loves you guys, and it's not because you're from Florida, but it's a win-win, right? Like, yay, thank you. My home state loves this.
yeah, yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
like
awesome.
I remember the first time that I was touring in Florida with this band. It wasn't always like that. We really built up this community by coming back here time after time. And it's just been so incredible. All of the venues have been great. Like the people who show out, like the venues get filled up in Florida. I don't know what it is. It's just the weather here. I don't know. Y'all travel very far and come down, and I get it. Like it's fun. Florida's been very good to us, and it's really special that we get to see all the people from. I see people like you guys come down. We have people travel from out of state that come down and see us in Florida. I don't know what it is about
Mhm.
the atmosphere down here, but it's cultivated some
All
good
cool
shows.
vibes.
So
Y'all are going back to Florida in February, and I think there couldn't be a better time simply because all of us that live north, which is everyone lives north of Florida, it's cold, right? So there's just no better time than, hey, let's go to Florida. Let's do it in February. It's a great time for everybody. So I know that the future is going to look bright on your next Florida stop. But let's talk about more than Florida, of course. 2026, you guys are doing like nationwide stuff. Talk a little bit about that. And are you excited about all of the potential that that's going to bring?
yeah, I mean, this is what I've wanted to do. I wanted to see the country. I just wanted to travel, and to do that through music and playing Dave, like it's super gratifying. I can't believe that it's actually happening right now for me, and to do it with the group of guys that I get to do it with it's really special. Last year, we traveled through Colorado and South Dakota down to Texas, Oklahoma, back up to Ohio in that, and doing that sort of cross country trek was like just such a unique grounding experience. Like you take away a lot of different perspectives on people in the world just by seeing more. And this year it's going to be double that. We're driving all the way to California. We're going to California. We're going coast to coast. So that'll be my first time out there and to play music if, at that. So it's super humbling that I get to do this.
It's
And
exciting.
I can't wait to see the Pacific Coast. Yeah, yeah.
I know a lot of California fans have already even just wrote into me and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe DMTB is coming to California. Like, are you going to be there? I can't believe like there's a party that is already planned for when y'all are going to be there. So get excited. They are excited on the West Coast for you guys to come out and all the stops in between. I know that, St. Louis, Kansas, like y'all are stopping in at so many great spaces. Then DMTB.com, that's going to show you the schedule that they have out so far, which I believe kind of rolls into April. And you can also buy your tickets. And I can't stress enough that you should, if you think you're going to go, buy your tickets now because tickets for DMTB sell out very quickly, and you want to make sure that you can see them. These guys are professional musicians. You will not be upset at the fact that you went to go see these guys play because they're all masters of their craft. Thank you again so much. And thank you guys for listening to this episode. If this is the first one you're listening to that has to do with DMTB, check out all the other ones because each day this week, every episode is going to be from a different point of view from DMTB. I'm so excited to be able to have them as part of the show. And definitely follow where the show is going to be because I know I'm going to be in February following them in Florida. And who knows what the future looks like. If you're interested in the Space Between podcast, you're interested in DMTB, if you can find us together, what a combo, right? We can do some interviews in the parking lot. You never know what's going to happen. But Noah, thank you so much for being on the show. And guys, be sure to follow us on all of the socials, including, of course, DMTB is on everything. They're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So guys, until the next time, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you, Noah.
Thanks, Renae.